So,
all right.
that was a lame one, wasn't it? Hold on.
That was like an attempt at it. Right
We need tequila this morning in order to scream that loud.
Right.
They do a grito in this song. Well, all of the songs do.
Yeah.
We're live.
Good morning, everyone. Good morning. It's Wednesday. It's the third Wednesday or second Wednesday. I can't remember.
Wednesday. Yes.
All I know
Wednesday.
is April's flying.
Yeah, it's once again 2021 is going by so fast. It's going to be. Hey, the good news is I think we don't have to do taxes now until May because I thought it was June. Okay, because I completely forgot.
I haven't done mine.
I think it's June or July, but we probably want to verify.
I'm waiting. I'm waiting. Have y'all heard that for some families, I guess they didn't pay them right last year on their tax return? So I'm I'm waiting to hear that so I can go and do my tax.
Yeah, I know. Yeah. You got like
maybe I get extra refunds.
That's right. Well,
are you talking about the stimulus?
Yes, I think
so. The first stimulus and the second stimulus, if you did not get those, there is a credit you can apply for and you'll get it through your tax return.
You know, it sucks on that. I have a 19-year-old that I didn't get credit for him last year for nothing at all. And, you know, we're not sure if he's going to still get anything. And he's already an adult. But I mean, since he's not, you know, he's at home.
Yeah.
I'm like,
well, y'all, we are live.
Hi, everyone.
So just so everybody knows, since we brought it up, the filing deadline has been extended to May 17th is the filing deadline. So you've got basically a whole month from today.
Yes. Excellent. Okay. Well, good morning, everyone. Welcome to Coffee and Pondusi. I'm Christian Cano, one of your co-hosts, along with Mama Ruth and Jenny James Gunn, and Stephen is not with us today, and Barbara, I believe, is not with us, going to be joining us today. We do have Raphael.
I see Raphael.
Well, I was about to say that. We have Raphael, who has joined us, a Charlotte journalist, and he is sideways. So, Raphael, it is great to see you this morning. How are you?
Raphael. There you go.
Excellent. You know, if we had Dr. B with us before the show started, he would have said, "Can you please turn the light off behind you? Turn this way." He's like Jeff Jr., all about production value. So So we are going to as Mama Ruth said, today is April the 14th. April is almost halfway over. Wow. Spring it's gorgeous here in Charlotte. I don't know everywhere else around the country. I'm sure it's hot in many other places. So we are going to talk about current events. We've started late today. I apologize. And then we will get into our topic. Today's topic is why border kids scare lazy Americans. So before we do that, let's go around our Brady Bunch screen and introduce yourself and your imaginary button. Does anyone have their Brady Bunch screen up so that way I can start sharing us?
We should just start picking
myself and Raphael.
Okay, all right. So whoever wants to start, and I'll share us.
Go ahead, Jenny.
All right. Well, good morning. Hi, I'm Jenny James Gunn, and I'm an advocate for the National Organization of Women, Charlotte Pride, many LGBT organizations, and let's stop attacking transgender children. Let's protect them, not hurt them. Mama Ruth?
Good morning, everyone. My name is Ruth Perez. I'm a community advocate here in North Carolina. And I do sit in different boards. I'm a co-host also for Coffee and Pondusi. And my imaginary button today it's always been gun sense reform. We are getting out of hand with the guns, shootings, and stuff. Also, I am very, very close with all my group and Now Women's. I do support them, and I am against the LGBT racism that is going on right now and all these bills that are trying to rise up against them. We have to learn how to love our brothers and sisters because they have the same heartbeat as us. They draw blood as us, and they breathe just the same as us. So we have to love them. And Medicare for all. We definitely need something to be done about some insurance reform. Next, Rafael.
My name is Rafael Prieto. I am a journalist. I have been in several cities in the United States working as in that field. And really the bottom for me is immigration reform.
Excellent. Well, thank you, Rafael. And it's great to have you today. This is a perfect day to have you with the topic we're going to be talking about. But we'll just go 10 minutes on local events. So I don't know if anyone heard this morning on Pat McCrory's morning show, which, hey, he's leaving the station, so maybe we can replace him. He has announced that he is running for a U.S. Senate here in North Carolina. That is, what is that, Jenny, number 98?
Yeah, I mean, both parties are fielding a bunch of candidates, including one of Donald Trump's family members coming in and carpetbagging here. But it's crazy how many people are running for that vacant seat because Senator Burr is not running again. But I guess the gig pays well, and everybody's interested about winning. So we have, I think,
The sad part about McCrory is that he's Republican. So he's just trying to replace Burr's ideas.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, well,
so let's think about that.
Even worse than Burns.
Yep.
Yeah.
When he was a mayor of the city, initially, he was very open to immigrants, but that was early 90s. But suddenly he changed completely and became an enemy of the immigrant population. And when he was governor, he signed the law against sanctuary cities, against IDs. Here in Charlotte, we had a big issue with one ice cream vendor that was assaulted. And he called the police, and one of the policewomen said that he must be reported to immigration because he was undocumented, instead to help him. The person that was police chief at that time apologized to the Hispanic community, but McCrory said that the ice cream vendor should be reported to immigration. That was a big issue at that time. Anyway, if he is running for the Senate, it will be very bad for the immigrant community.
Who else is running for that seat?
Everyone.
Yeah, they're
wait a minute,
Jenny.
I'm announcing.
Wasn't it Jeff Sessions also running for it?
Yes.
Yeah, there's quite a few. So
Erica Smith that ran in 20,
on the Democratic side.
In the primary against Cal Cunningham, Justice.
Yeah, we definitely need to know exactly everyone's background and make sure in our community spread the word who it's doing what for us, because we just can't allow anymore.
Yeah, there'll be a lot. Another thing in the news, I don't know if you guys had heard this, but apparently Rafael may be able to, if you know anything about this, apparently CMPD is going to be changing their policy about undocumented individuals that are victims of crime. Have you heard something about that, Rafael?
I believe the issue is that the Charlotte Observer mentioned the issue again, but it has been an issue for a long time. It happens that really the people that manage that program in the CMPD, they just reject the applications of the people just because they had problems in their backgrounds.
Oh, okay.
But precisely the U visa is for people that have problems. It's not for people that are angels or no, for people that during their life came to be eyewitness of crimes or victims of crimes. But the policy of one of the officers that I may not mention, he died recently, was to reject all all the people that have any infraction to the law.
Okay, well, so I mean, that's another thing that was in the news, but I completely forgot as we were doing this to salute to our neighbors, as we always do on Coffee and Pandusi. If you have your coffee or whatever you're drinking this morning, salute. And hey, I do want to thank, I have to thank Raphael about his advice he gave us the last time he was on his show about the vaccination shots. So also thank you to Manolo's Bakery, our Pandusi sponsor. Manolo's Bakery is on Central Avenue, made by immigrant hands. Please support your Black and brown businesses or any small business during this global pandemic. As we start to open up, please make sure that you are safe and you're supporting them so they can kind of recover from this. So I got my second shot on Thursday, and I was really nervous because everyone had been saying how they were having side effects. So we've been camping in the mountains, and I tried Raphael's advice and felt nothing all weekend. So it's, which as you can see in my eyes. So it worked. So
you have no soreness, no fever, no fatigue,
nothing.
Which one did you get? The Moderna?
No,
or
Pfizer. Pfizer. Yes. So
I heard Moderna, my friends had it last week as well, and she had real downside, fatigue, and body ache.
Not me. There was like a little sore where they gave the shot, but that's like any shot for me. So it was, Raphael was telling the story about the needles, his needle thing. And the gentleman who gave the shot said, okay, I'm going to give you the shot and go ahead and count to 5. And I was like tensing up, and he goes, and then he said, I already gave it to you. And I was like, I felt embarrassed because anyway. So those are great things. Anybody else want to bring something up that maybe it's been happening in the news before we start our topic? Jenny?
I mean, I guess I want to reiterate, 33 states have now filed anti-transgender youth bills. Most of them have filed multiple ones, including North Carolina. There's 3 up in the General Assembly. One of them in Texas is one of the most heinous ones I've seen so far. It would actually allow CPS to take away transgender children from parents that seek affirming medical care, including psychological therapy and hormones. They would actually they would consider it child abuse, and they would take away the kids, which is crazy because the affirming care actually is helping the kids, and it's abuse to refuse medical care to a child. They're using a obscure statute and trying to turn it against children, and that's pretty sick, especially from a group of QAnon crazies that refused to wear a mask. It was so thin-skinned that they refused to wear a mask, and now they're seeking child protective services against families that have transgender children. That's pretty mentally unhinged. I mean, honestly, Greg Abbott just needs to be evicted out of the governor's chair. And the QAnon crazies, they're just, I mean, I can't even call them Republicans anymore. They're full-blown melted down QAnon idiots that have just lost their mind. They've drank way too much of their own Kool-Aid.
Looks like exactly what you said, Jenny, and thank you for updating us on that. Texas Governor Abbott actually has been incredibly hypocritical on his stance about the border as well, even to the point where Fox News' Chris Wallace cornered him this weekend and highlighted his hypocrisy because he's been talking about all the things at the border. And Chris Wallace says during the 4 years that President Trump, you didn't mention any of this. So, and
just like magic.
Yeah, it's like
magic. All of a sudden, Biden, a Democrat, becomes the POTUS, and all of a sudden we've got all these border problems and taxes. And I'm going, there wasn't a peep out of him because what the article or the news story was about was all of a sudden Abbott was saying, how kids and women are being abused, specifically sexually, and Chris Wallace pointed out, and this was on Fox News too. Hey, there was more incidents during the Trump years about stuff like that, and you didn't say a word.
Exactly.
Wallace didn't let it go. He needled
Yeah.
Abbott pretty good because Abbott's not really the sharpest tool in the toolbox. And of course, he cornered himself, and he's going, if you're not going to say it during 4 years, you know what, Biden's been president, what, 2 months?
Yeah.
You know, and 3 months. I mean, he's barely even warmed up the seat yet. They're already criticizing him about the border policy. I'm like, we had this kooky little worldwide pandemic and economic meltdown to handle as well, that he inherited from Trump. Like, let's cut him a little bit of slack. I mean,
yeah. Well, that's what's been going on. So we're going to jump directly into our topic today. Our topic today is why border kids scare lazy Americans. But to start this topic, I want to remind people, this has been, I don't know, maybe everyone else can kind of give us their understanding of this. I've been hearing this since I was young, growing up in Texas, how immigrants, especially, you know, they use the term Mexicans, how Mexicans are taking the jobs, you know, or taking our jobs. And,
or worse.
You know, this has been around. It's been around so long that it's actually become kind of a parody, a comedy. And so let's show you who brought this back up. I think it was 2015. We will show you, and if you can't see this on your screen, just let me know. We are going to, give me 1 second. We will show you who.
When's the last time you saw a Chevrolet in Tokyo? It doesn't exist, folks. They beat us all the time.
This is bullcrap.
When do we beat Mexico at the border? They're laughing at us, at our stupidity. They took our jobs. That's right. A lot of people up there can't get jobs. They can't get jobs because there are no jobs. Because China has our jobs and Mexico has our jobs. They all have a job. When Mexico sends its people, they're not sending their best. They're not sending you. They're not sending you. The American dream is dead.
So, you know, he was credited for really kind of bringing that bigotry out, and it worked. There were a lot of people who bought into that and voted for him, and that's kind of a myth. And I tried to do as much research as I could on articles and so forth. And basically, anyone who does their research there's a lot of institutes and stuff that have tried to do immigrants really take people's jobs, do undocumented people really take the jobs. And it turns out that I think this video kind of explains it a little better. So we will try to play this video as well, and then we'll start the conversation. So here we go.
Jobs from Americans.
There's been a lot of panic among American workers that their job opportunities are being taken by so-called illegal immigrants, especially ones who will work for way less money. Now, we all know that not all undocumented immigrants are Mexicans, and obviously not all Mexicans are undocumented. But this came to a head during the 2016 election when now President Donald Trump campaigned on the platform of cutting back legal immigration by building a border wall between the US and Mexico and creating stricter deportation policies. But the way Trump talks about immigrants sounds like a horror movie. They're taking our jobs. They're taking our money. They're killing us. Which to that last one, no. But as for taking our jobs, well, that anti-immigrant stance is almost as old as the United States itself. But it's worth taking seriously because finding work can be very difficult. Before we get into it, as we've talked about before, there are many complicated reasons why people are unable to immigrate legally. So instead, we'll refer to those immigrants as undocumented instead of demonizing them as illegal. But let's ask the question. For every undocumented immigrant that gets a job, is a job taken away from an American citizen? To help me explain, I've brought along my friend, Maritza Montañez.
Thanks, Francesca. Undocumented immigrants make up about 5% of the workforce in America. And the kinds of jobs that many undocumented immigrants have are, frankly, the physically exhausting kinds of jobs in extreme temperatures that most Americans would rather not do, including me. Undocumented immigrants are mainly employed in manual labor and service jobs, like working on a farm or as maids and janitors. And even Americans who might gravitate toward this type of work are more likely to get jobs that require English language and technical skills, like working as a cashier or truck driver.
But the reasoning behind this idea that immigrants are taking away jobs from Americans is so common that economists gave it a name. It's called the lump of labor fallacy, which is the false notion that there is only so much work to be done and that no one can get a job without taking one from someone else. The problem is that this idea doesn't account for the fact that when immigrants arrive, they don't just increase the number of workers, they also increase demand for lots of other local goods and services. They use the money they earn to rent apartments, eat food, get haircuts, and buy cell phones, which means there's more jobs building apartments, giving haircuts, and selling cell phones. So when more people join the job market, there's a greater need for goods and services. But maybe right now you're thinking, okay, but what if I really want to work at a farm?
Well, glad you asked, because lots of them are hiring. So you'll work long hours, get no health insurance, live far away from any friends and family, and make the least amount I can pay you. Can you start Monday? See, 9 out of 10 agriculture workers in California are foreign born, and more than half are undocumented immigrants. But cracking down on illegal immigration has actually hurt the American farming industry. This past summer, farmers in California struggled to hire enough workers to harvest their crops, which resulted in millions of dollars of lost profit and higher vegetable prices. Because America needed another excuse not to eat vegetables.
But maybe if farms could raise their wages to something more livable, Americans would be lining up in droves to work on them, right? Well, again, that makes a lot of logical sense, but many farmers argue it'd just be cheaper and more efficient to turn to robots. And overall, it won't be long before most farm workers and, well, many manual workers in general are replaced by machines. It's projected that 83% of jobs in which people make less than $20 an hour are now or will eventually be automated, which is something we really should all worry about because it could fundamentally change the economy.
Today on Decoded, can you be a robot without appropriating human culture?
But what about jobs going to Mexico? Aren't those Mexicans taking our jobs, Maritza?
Well, kinda, but it's less like these guys taking your job and more like these guys giving them your job. Moving factories to Mexico became easier because of something called the North American Free Trade Agreement, Nafta. Basically, Nafta lets the US, Mexico, and Canada trade stuff with one another without paying taxes on it, which in theory was intended to help all of our economies, reduce prices, and make more jobs. But a lot of companies moved their decent paying American jobs to Mexican factories because labor is cheaper there. Workers often receive little to no benefits, and government oversight is weaker. And for the people who worked in those American factories, it's tough because manufacturing jobs were often a pathway to the middle class. Trump campaigned against Nafta as part of his promise to bring back jobs, which you can agree or disagree with. The problem was that instead of just being critical of the politicians who put these agreements in place or the men and women in corporate boardrooms who, actually moved the factories out of the US, he used his position to stir up racism and xenophobia towards Mexican people themselves.
But being mad at the Mexican people who take those jobs is kind of weird. For the people in Mexico taking a job in a factory run by an American car company is no different than an American taking a job at a factory run by a Japanese or German car company. And we can't point our fingers at just NAFTA or Mexico for the loss of manufacturing jobs in America over the years. American manufacturing jobs have moved all over the globe. Since the 1950s, American factories have been closing for a number of reasons, including globalization, currency valuations, economic recession, and automation.
Forgetting the robots will be your doom. Ha, ha, ha.
It's a complicated issue. We could talk all day about the many economic policies and laws that affect American jobs, but stirring up fear and resentment towards Mexicans and immigrants in general will never be the solution. Special thanks to Maritza for helping out today. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time right here on Decoded.
All right, I thought that video was kind of a nice kind of explanation, for those who wanted to do research. Are they really taking our jobs? Are border kids really the scary, force that we should be afraid of? So
I think the parallel, especially when you're using fear-mongering tactics, which the QAnon crowd is so good at, is that it's not a zero-sum game. That if somebody moves to the United States, or I decide I want to move to Japan, I'm not taking somebody's job. Jobs are always created in a dynamic economy. So in high wealth nations like the United States, Germany, Japan, China, where they have a confluence of constant increase in manufacturing and sales and technology, it's just we have more jobs than we can ever fill. 2 years ago, they did a study amongst American manufacturers. There was 150,000 manufacturing jobs that went unfilled in 2019. 150,000 jobs. Amazon is always hiring, and their starting pay is $15 an hour here in Charlotte, North Carolina.
And they're expanding.
Target on Ray Road. I've lived in this city since 2018. That particular large store has always had a now hiring sign on their door, and now they pay between $13 and $15 an hour starting pay. And so there are tons of jobs in this country in every kind of field, including marketing and sales. I never ever had a border kid come into a timeshare resort or auto dealership that I worked in and going, "Can I steal somebody's job?" It is ridiculous. The premise of somebody coming into this country and taking my job is the dumbest thing I've ever heard.
Yeah.
It is literally the dumbest thing, and it's a racist.
Yeah, I agree. Let's get Raphael jump in, and then Mama Ruth, you as well. Raphael, is this a myth? I mean, should we be afraid of border? Go ahead.
The problem is that I'm really scared from so many people coming to the border, even the kids, even the mothers. Is very sad to see them trying to cross to the United States and their beliefs. They think that the Biden administration is inviting everybody to come from Central America to the US, and it's going to be open borders. The reality is that there are more than 11 undocumented people in the US right now. And this exodus from Central America is going to tarnish the possibility to have immigration reform. That means that 400,000 TPS people that may have the opportunity to be legalized, people that have been in the country for 20 years, that reform may not happen. Is going to be for the projected 2.3 million dreamers, because right now there are 700,000, but with the Biden project, it will be like 2.3 million dreamers, and around 2.2 million agricultural workers. The fate of all these people is right now really in danger, because the people are coming by thousands to the border. The environment in the country, it will be anti-immigrant very soon. This issue has been the folks and the media that is against immigrants are doing campaigns, are speaking horrible about the situation. Everybody says that it's a mess, it's a chaos, and until this administration made very clear that is not open borders and organize at least the people that have arrived at the border and stop the thousands of people that are coming, and do an advertisement campaign in their country saying, no, it's not open borders, you may solve the situation in locally in the embassies, because many of the people that are coming are kids that their parents are already here in the United States. During the Obama administration, they established a law normative that the Trump administration stopped. And right now, the Biden administration established that again. and it's the possibility for a parent to ask for the children in their countries and came legally to the United States, avoiding all these things to use the coyotes. And right now the coyote issue is the big issue. They are doing campaigns in each country, telling the people in the villages that it's open borders. Yeah, you can come to the United States. They are going to we just cross you to the US, and you can go to the border patrol, and situation is solved. And the people are saying in the border that they have been engañados. Please help me, Ruth, with the translation of engañados.
They've been deceived, or they've been
Yeah, deceived. They have
betrayed.
been deceived. That the promise that they had, that they are going to come and be received with the open arms, is not happening. And that's what they are saying when they are crying when they've been deported to Mexico. But really, if the Biden administration don't do something, immigration reform is not going to pass. And it's people that are already here, have been here for years.
Sure. Well, thank you for explaining it from that kind of point of view, because I guess I really never thought about it that if this continues the way it is, the rhetoric will amp up, and then we'll get this anti-immigrant. I don't know how we can get any more anti-immigrant with Republicans, but
it's going to get worse.
Oh, it could get worse.
Well, you're right. You're right.
It could
I mean,
get worse.
I shouldn't say. I should never be surprised. Go ahead.
Yeah, I think this is the way the doors are open right now from the United States on the Biden administration. It's a double weapon. It's a double weapon because it's allowing families like Rafael just mentioned. A lot of their parents are here, and kids are trying to arrive because they think that it's easier to come and get reunited with their parents. However, that is causing us a lot of more, I guess, losing a lot of more opportunities. Why? Because it could get worse if we don't put a stop on it, if we don't do it the right way, the legal right way. And I'm not saying I understand, and I've had a big battle debates between families telling me, well, you're being selfish, and it's not that. I mean, I would love to have an open border peacefully, but we can't. We have to do it the right way.
Most than peacefully is organized. It's organized.
Organized. Thank you, Rafael.
Organized.
Yes, because I mean, a lot of these families are not coming. What I'm seeing is all these kids are being sent over. Some of them, you know, I have an issue right now with a 15-year-old girl that is under a juvenile detention for hanging out with some older kids. She's from Honduras. Her parents are not even here. It's only her and her sister. Her sister's 19 years old. She came because her parents sent her when Obama was under the administration. What's gonna happen? What happens? Nobody knows. Nobody keeps a track of that. And this is getting worse. That's how crime is growing.
The other problem. Sorry, I'm gonna say something, and I leave the other thing is that the main income, the main source of income for Guatemala, El Salvador, Honduras, Dominican Republic, Nicaragua, are the remittances of their people here.
Mm-hmm.
If the people here get in trouble and don't progress economically, those countries are going to be even worse. And the other fact is that during the time that I'm reporting, I had met several kids that have been brought to the US in a van from Honduras to the border. They pay a lot of money for that. But the fact is that the people that are doing better economically right now are the coyotes. And really, the U.S. authorities have to go after them, like they go after other issues like drugs or wherever, in a way that we can organize this immigration.
This is getting worse than human trafficking. Can you imagine how much a coyote is charging a person, per person, to bring them to the border, not even cross them over, just bring them to the border of the United States? You know, that we're talking about between $10,000 to $12,000 up to $14,000. If a person can have money to pay that amount to get someone to this country, I mean, just imagine what's going on. And then the worst part is that they end up leaving these kids, these teenagers, these mothers out in nowhere without knowing anyone.
Let's, Jenny, you were going to say something?
There's a couple things. First, the criminality amongst new arrivals is no higher than current citizen Americans. So I want to correct you, Mama Ruth, on that respectfully. That's not true. They're not, new arrivals are not causing crimes any more than American born, white, black, Latino, whoever you want to name. It's no different. In fact, it's typically about
No, I didn't say it in that matter. I didn't say it in that matter. I said
But you did bring up
her
crime.
parents are not here. Who's here to control them?
Right,
No.
correct.
And the problem is not the study with the study says that immigrants are committing less crime than natives. That's
Correct.
that's a long. No, my point is that this exodus to here may tarnish other things that are priorities.
Well, and I'm going to correct a few things that you said, Raphael. First of all, we have 44 million, as of right now, we have 44.8 million immigrants living in the United States right now. They make up 13%, almost 14% of our population. So immigration has always happened in this country, and the percent of those current immigrants right now that come from Mexico is only 25%. And of all of our immigrants that are in the country right now, 50% are legal citizens, and a third of them have college degrees. So, you know, one of the things is that child immigrants are nothing new. My grandmother came over when she was 10, and that was in 1920. You know, so the amount of Central American children at the border right now is no higher than it's ever been before. So let's correct a few of the statistics. On average, it's been about 2,000 to 3,000 kids at the border, and that is nothing new. That is nothing absolutely new. Those numbers were higher in 20 years ago. Those numbers were just as high. They may have been from different countries. They may have been more from Mexico or here or there, but the truth is, this is not a new occurrence, and the amount of currently people applying for citizenship through the different programs is way higher. It's way higher than what's at the border right now. It's disproportionately. It's not going to change their route to citizenship. They don't have anything to do with each other.
Go ahead, Raphael.
No, the fact is that we haven't been able to have immigration reform for a long time.
Sure.
Now, I don't disagree with that. I mean, our immigration system is broken, and the way that it allocates slots to countries, it's very antiquated, and it comes from the 1930s and 40s.
No. The problem for us, for the community that I know, for the community that I deal in daily basis, is people that have been here for 15 years, for 20 years, and they are waiting to solve their problems because suddenly they were under 287G here in Charlotte. Many people that I know were deported by that program. Many people that I know lived left the country. They went to Canada. They did come back to their countries because we didn't have immigration reform. And we are talking that if the people don't have legal status, all the obstacles came after them.
So
It's
what
terrible.
let me understand what I'm hearing from you, Rafael, and I think I'm kind of hearing this from Mama Ruth as well. What I'm hearing is there is a concern from the current individuals in the United States and in Charlotte who may be undocumented or whatever the case may be, that the more people, if we don't address this migration of people coming over, it will damage their ability to become
Legalized.
and I understand that concern. However, it almost makes me say my first instinct, without when you say that, is how selfish of you to be so worried about yourself just because you were here 15 years before another person. That is the same. So for me, I mean, that's been my thing. Maybe
that's what I've been called before, even though I'm not waiting for an immigration.
You know that I have been fighting for immigrants forever. I have been confronting Sumari, Jim Pendergrass, Pat McCurry, the governors, everybody. But this is a real thing. So really, this is probably the only time that a president of the United States present an immigration reform project in the first day of they become presidents. And right now, the environment, the people are in the country are going to oppose to that due to the situation in the border. Well, and the other thing, I'm not saying this only because me, is because I talk with the people with TPS.
No. I think that was what I was going to say, Rafael. And as I said that, I'm thinking to myself, is that a
selfish,
as a Republican
position? Selfish. No, but I put the things in the other way. How selfish of me to pretend that I come to the border and immediately I get to the United States, damaging the opportunity to legalize the people that are sending the money for the country to survive.
Well,
that's go ahead, Jenny.
A couple things in play here. First of all, it's a lot of white QAnon crazies that are using this border crisis as to weaponize a pushback against immigration reform. They don't want the current residents, the documented and the undocumented Americans that are immigrants here, to be naturalized, to be, become American citizens. And the issue is it's a distraction argument that is scaring everybody. It's scaring people that are going through the process right now. It's scaring people because it's an irrational argument, when the real argument is fixing the system. Because when you talk to immigration attorneys, they all say the system disproportionately punishes our neighboring countries in this part of the hemisphere in the way it is set up, because each country gets a certain percentage of immigrants every year that can be legalized. And when a system has that kind of deal, and we have a logjam of people that are backed up in the immigration courts, this is stupid. This is an outdated system that is way too. It's not been modernized at all.
But the only way to modernize this system is with the an immigration reform law.
Correct.
Under
Yes.
the current system, as a lawyer say long time ago here in Charlotte, not even Lois Lane can get Superman legalized in the United States.
Well, that's Raphael. That's what I was going to say. And as I said, as I was hearing what you're saying, then I started to think, is that the kind of privileged part of me not really understanding what the immigrant undocumented community, the fears that they're fearing about this. And then I jump back to Jenny's kind of things that she has said on this show all the time. It doesn't have to be either or. And that is the problem I think we have, is those who share this fear mongering about immigrants, undocumented people. They succeed because we have convinced people that it has to be either DACA people or we can have both. We can have undocumented. And what you're saying, Raphael, is what you're hearing from the immigrant or undocumented community is they're afraid that their long wait is going to be longer because the fear will.
If the quantum theories and the Fox News continue with the campaign, and all these Trumpist new media work against the immigration reform is not going to happen. The last time that we had an opportunity was in 2013. The immigration reform was approved in the Senate by the Gang of Eight. That was the Republicans were Rubio, McCain, Graham, and Flake.
Yeah,
and it was approved by the majority. When the project went to the House of Representatives, Bonner, I don't know how to pronounce his name.
Boehner, yeah.
Boehner.
I say Boehner.
Boehner didn't even present the project, but behind that was Jeff Sessions. Jeff Sessions started a campaign against immigrants in the most horrible things, and the people in the House of Representatives didn't even. Everybody was against that. With another guy that was a congressman, Bitter, I believe, Bitter or someone from I believe was from Alabama or Mississippi.
Okay.
No, they were doing horrible things, and nothing happened. Nothing happened. The last time that people were legalized was not even in the immigration reform of Reagan, but then during the Bush administration, during the first Bush, 250 people were legalized: Nicaraguans, Salvadorians, Hondurans, and people from East Europe, because a bill that they invented, because the communism and everything, but at least 250 people were legalized. Then it has been impossible. Every time that we had an opportunity, 2006, 2007, 2009, nothing happened. And I'm very afraid that this time nothing is going to happen.
I hear what you're saying, Raphael. And, as I've said on the show before, on my mom's side of the family, they have been here forever. But my grandfather on my dad's side, who passed away in the 90s, he was a naturalized citizen with the Reagan administration during that time period. And so he was always a big supporter of Reagan and Republicans because of that happened. So I'm curious, and I want to know what Jenny thinks about this. It sounds to me that the Republicans, or the fear of border kids and so forth, may be the big issue for them to run on in 2022 and then in the next presidential election. And it sounds to me that our own community may be saying, Biden, you're too easy. You know, and that's kind of what I'm hearing, which is kind of surprising.
But I'll jump in right here. You know, literally none of that's true.
Okay.
And so the issue is this, and I'll compare it again to the trans kids situation. We're creating unfounded fears in society, and they're letting out all these trial balloons because, again, there's a third of the Senate and all the House of Representatives will be up for election in 2022. So we'll have a massive midterm election next year, and they're scaring the hell out of people over a false issue. And especially when it's almost like a plumbing problem that we have in the United States when it comes to immigration. We have such a backlog of people waiting to be citizens. It's ridiculous. So one of the huge problems, for example, and I'm just going to pull up real world numbers. We have 1.2 million people from Mexico that currently live in the United States, but are waiting to be processed through a system. We have 300,000 Filipinos, almost 300,000 people from India, and I can keep going on and on, but for production values. But it's millions of people that are disproportionately affected by this because there's a certain small group of people that are allowed every year through every country in the world. So how the process works is there's such a limited amount.
You are talking about the legal immigration. You are
Correct.
not talking the undocumented people that come to the United States that need right now to be legalized. That's the system. The backlog is in the applications that people have made from different countries to become residents of the United States. But the fact is that there are 11 or 12 or 13 million people that need to be legalized immediately.
Well, that was my next point.
Imagine that the DREAM Act was presented in 2001. The DREAM Act, 2001. 20 years, and they present every year a project to legalize the dreamers, and nothing happened. 20 years.
Well,
Raphael,
that was actually my next point.
Yeah.
Was as I was progressing through the logic, you also have the preponderance of undocumented people. You have the DACA, recipients. All these people, you're talking about, I think the number is 15 million total, that are in some type of immigration citizenship purgatory, and we're still not addressing it. And that's the main issue, that when we have all these people in this basically no man's land of citizenship that are Americans that have been here and should be legalized, and everybody that is if you make it to these shores and you make it under our border, you should be able to go through the process in a orderly and timely fashion, just like our normal court system, which is, our normal court system is the due process of law. Let me finish real quick, and then I'll flip to you. Is like an allowability for the due process and a speedy trial. So with this going through the court system as well, all these people are not getting what they should be getting by our Constitution, which is a speedy immigration trial, and they should become citizens. We are breaking the Constitution by not allowing them to be processed.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, in the United States, and you are right, it's an asylum process, but the immigration laws doesn't say that.
Yep.
To become a citizen of the United States, you have to have the miracle that you marry a person from this country, or you have a brother, or you have a son, or you have a father
Mhm.
that is a citizen of the United States. Is the obstacles,
Yeah.
that presumption that you came to the United States and the next day, and the other day, you become a citizen, that doesn't exist. That doesn't exist.
Yeah.
The first part is you have to have a link, a family, or a labor contact to become a resident. Then you have to spend 5 years before you become a citizen.
Yeah.
If you are lucky and get resident. And really the Statue of Liberty with the saying, give me your poor, give me your, that doesn't exist in the immigration law in the United States since the 19th century, when the Chinese were objects of the first immigration laws when they were constructing the rails
Yeah.
in California.
Well, we need to wrap up here only because we're going long. And Mama Ruth, I didn't mean to interrupt you when you were trying to tell us kind of the things as well. But one of the things that I've always, since my grandfather became a naturalized citizen in Reagan, and we've had these conversations on both sides of my family, even to the point in this last Zoom call, maybe 2 weeks ago, my family Zoom call during our Sunday rosary. We do rosary once a month. One of my family members who lives in Arizona actually did a special prayer for Border Patrol to help with those who were coming over, and said that we need to close our borders just like we don't have open doors in our house. And I was completely dumbfounded because first of all, that we needed a prayer for that. But I almost wanted to say, I'm living in a different universe. I mean, I'm about the libertarian part of me, which I wish Stephen was on here, believes that we should not have restrictions for people coming over because it's a free market, it's supply and demand. The reason people are coming over here is because we need labor. We have a labor shortage, and the American citizens are not producing enough kids to fill the labor market for jobs that we have. And the best way to stop it is, if we really want to stop the people coming over here, we have to punish those who hire undocumented people. When we start punishing those who hire undocumented people, which means the tree farmers, the people around here who cut their grass in South Charlotte, when we start punishing them, that's when people will start taking immigration seriously, because they will be put in jail. So, Rafael, you want to say something? I know we got to wrap up.
Yeah, very brief.
Sure.
Anyone knows who is Mark Krikorian? Any of you knows who is Mark Krikorian? Mark Krikorian. Do you know who is Mark Krikorian?
Mark Krikorian.
Mark Krikorian is the head of the Center of Immigration Studies. That is the think tank, the anti-immigrant think tank in the United States. They are the ones that provide all the numbers and things against immigrants in the United States. And he has been in the House and in the Senate, in the Judiciary Committee, testifying about this. And he says that the Reagan reform present sanctions against the people that hire the undocumented. And the breaking point was in Georgia, when the people were harvesting the Vidalia onions. And suddenly the former INS agents came and grabbed these people and put the people in jail and moved them to another place. And immediately the rancheros called the politicians of Georgia. They called the House of Representatives people, the Senate people. The Senate people called the senators and the congressmen, call the director of the INS and say, are you going to F the harvesting of and the economy of Georgia? And immediately the undocumented were released. So here, the culprits of this mass are the undocumented, the ranchers, the politicians, and the executive branch. They have been all culprits of the problem that we have right now.
I will say, and we do have to cut the show because last week went on for 2.5 hours and I can't today because I'm going to the mountains to go camping. So
selfish.
That is very selfish of me. But what I was going to say was that the Cato Institute, the think tank for the libertarians, and funded by the Koch brothers, is very progressive as far as immigration and undocumented individuals, and I follow them. And they have been even more progressive than Democrats, even progressive Democrats. And Stephen, we don't agree with a lot of things, but there's some important things that, they do a lot of research on why immigrants are important, or undocumented people are important to the economy here in the United States. And of course it is about money. And I understand that. It's about, free markets and so forth. And that's kind of how they think about it. And so I do applaud them for being one of the only parties during the Trump administration that actually stood up for undocumented individuals and the No 287G and all that kind of movement. But I want to go around the screen real quickly because this went completely different than I thought it would go. So I think, which is wonderful. I think we should have these conversations because, I really wanted to talk about how it was just lazy people who didn't like border kids. But apparently that may not be the case because when we saw the cartoon where the Trump supporters they're taking our jobs. And I've always joked about, well, then you must have a crappy job if you can lose it to a person who traveled miles and miles through a desert to get here and still took your job. And so, I've always kind of joked about that, but obviously there's a lot more layers to this than we could do many shows. And it'd be interesting what our Latinx community, both people who've been here for a while, and also people who are waiting to be recognized as citizens. But, I've always said, and maybe it's just the privileged or elite part of me, but, I just want as many people who want to come here. The fact that a parent would send their children to come here for a better life, I don't think that is a bad thing. Everyone wants what's best for their children. And I just maybe
and really, Christian, I'll jump in there.
Sure,
that's not the real issue. That is a distraction argument. When you look at the percentage of people that are already here, the real issue is the backlog, the cruel humanitarian crisis of people that are really Americans that have not been processed, that are sitting here in a psychotic, unhinged purgatory that we're not addressing. We've got millions of Americans that have not become citizens, even though they're really Americans. They're as much of American as me. And the issue is we're sitting here watching our house burn down, but we're worried about what's going on in the neighbor's house.
Yeah.
And we're not going to call the fire department because I'm worried about what Johnny's doing across the street. And I'm like, no, we need to worry about the first fire, which is addressing these millions of Americans that are not being processed through the system because of an archaic, stupid, disjointed way of calculating who should come in, who shouldn't, who qualifies, who doesn't, when they're Americans. They're Americans by our Constitution.
No, I hear that, Jenny, and I think what I'm hearing from Raphael, and I don't know if I was hearing that from Mama Ruth, she can say that. What I'm hearing from them is that they believe that it has to be, obviously it has to be fixed. The fear is that it's not going to be fixed if this, even if it's a fake issue at the border, is not addressed, because it just amplifies people who say, see, I told you, this is what's going to happen if we don't build border walls.
What's a distraction argument is all it is. It's a distraction argument created by conservatives to not address the real issue.
So when are we going to start addressing the real issue? Because the real issue is what you just mentioned. That's my focus. We need immigration reform. That's all.
Correct.
I agree.
I don't care how people come. We just need to establish new opportunities to the ones that are living here already, the ones that already consider themselves Americans. They've been paying their taxes and stuff, and they have to have a pathway. All these DACA recipients, all these immigrants that been here forever, and they have to be hiding, living in the shadow, living, with other people's name, using other people's identities in order to survive.
It's crazy.
Okay,
It's crazy
here's the question.
to live in this country for 20 years and not being considered an American.
Hey, Jenny,
not being American. I mean, like, it's just stupid.
Yeah. Hey, y'all. I just want to ask Raphael, and Raphael, if you can keep this in 30 seconds, because we really actually have to close the show. If you could advise Vice President Harris and President Biden today, if they called you and invited you and said, Raphael, what do you want us to do? What would you ask of them to do right now?
Fix the problem in the border first.
Okay.
Do a campaign in Central America saying it's not open borders in the United States.
Okay.
And then work to have immigration reform. Then we can allow the people to come legally.
Okay. That sounds like, I think that's, that's good advice. I mean, I think we should have this conversation, especially as we have a Senate race here in North Carolina coming in 2022. And now that Pat McCrory is running, these are questions. These are questions that maybe we should bring to them. So this has been a very important conversation. Thank you, Raphael, for giving us your expertise. It does. I will say I learned a lot today, differently, and I was thinking about this. We're camping in the mountains in Lenore, and there's tons of tree farms, a lot of migrant workers that work there. Many may be undocumented. I don't necessarily know that. Just for me, I've always felt like they are American. As Jenny said, they just might be Central American or South American. I don't think the United States.
Some of those do come legalized. They come with a worker's visa.
Yeah,
Right.
and one of the things we know when you do your research is about this myth that they are taking social services and welfare and this. They are probably they are actually paying into the pot to fund things that we do, to build our roads, to do our schools, and they can't get anything in return because they can't get Social Security, they can't get a lot of federal benefits and so forth, but they pay the taxes when they buy groceries. They're one of the reasons why housing is so expensive in North Carolina is because they're buying these houses cash. And so, they are, the South Charlotte people should thank them for their housing prices, going up and so forth. So they contribute to our economy all the time. So we're going to end the show, and we can have so much to talk about. Our next show next week is a lighthearted show. It is called Our Dogs People Too. We want to talk about dogs in today's society and our pets. I call them my kids. And for many years, people actually thought I had kids. They were like, they're dogs? And I said, yes, I just call them kids because, it's just funny to me when I see people posting pictures of their kids and stuff. I post pictures of my dogs, and I'm like, all right, I can do it. And so that's going to be next week's show, because the Humane Society of Charlotte is having their annual Petapalooza. I believe it's April 25th. So we want to talk about that as well. And then the next week, which we have invited per Raphael's suggestion, it's about PBS. And as I was in the mountains, I only got 4 channels. They were the 4 PBS channels. I watched them for 5 hours. And
No, no
It was-
immigrant.
It was
Only-
white. There was
Okay.
a black lady, and then there was white. Of the 20 shows, 18 had white hosts, and the black lady who did a travel show, she didn't even travel. The white producers traveled, and she just introduced them. And so that was my unofficial watching but they do have, to Raphael's point, during Hispanic Heritage Month, they have great shows, they have great documentaries, but that's all we get. We only get documentaries and, frontline things. We don't actually get our own shows on PBS. And that was really what I was complaining about. And so we will be doing that show. And I've invited someone from the Charlotte PBS. It's actually the UNC system, I believe, runs PBS here in North Carolina. So it's actually run by
North Carolina.
Yeah, it's run by the University of North Carolina. And then in South Carolina, because I get South Carolina PBS, it's SETV, which is run very differently. So we're going to go around the Brady Bunch screen. It is St. Bernie, Jenny, Mama Ruth, and Raphael. Tell us where you're going to be, and then we will close the show. And thank you, everyone, for being on it and giving us. We know we do value your time. So, Jenny.
Tonight we have the we postponed our now meeting, virtual meeting last week. It is going to be tonight. It will start at 6:30. It's on Facebook Live, so you can tune in that way, and all are welcome. And it should be a good time. We have a North Carolina educator that is going to talk about the strengthening of our schools and our education system, and it should be very informative. And I'm excited to have that guest tonight.
Cool.
Me?
Go ahead,
Yeah,
Rafi,
Robbie.
go ahead.
I'm gonna have a dinner with a lady that runs the Department of Languages in Queen's University. That will be we are going to discuss the event of the Spanish Language Day that is coming in April 23.
Cool. I will be here at home. I'm afraid to go out now. No, I'm just playing. I got invited to be a speaker tomorrow at the Meatwood Cultural Center. There's an event going on from 9 to 3 p.m. Where there will be a clinic. It's an extension of a clinic, and they will be providing the vaccines, the COVID vaccine. So my people, do not get scared, do not get discouraged. I personally respect everyone's. I have not made up my mind myself yet, but I'm not against it either. I'm waiting to see results on some of them because now that
I'm fine.
Johnson and
I'm
Johnson
fine.
got-
I'm fine.
And I'm
fine,
happy for you, Raphael. I'm happy for
and
Tano.
Christian too. Christian is fine too.
Jenny, have you put yours yet? Have you gotten yours yet?
My car has been in the shop for 3 weeks, so I did not
That's
have
right.
transportation.
Okay.
I got my car back yesterday, so not to do a Barbara Bacon and talk about my houses and cars and stuff like that on the show, even though I do find her stories interesting, and she does have a pretty house. But yes, I am. To answer your question, I've already gotten some referrals to go to a place. So this week, my roommate and myself will be getting the vaccine. And I'm going to choose between the Pfizer and the Moderna because they have pulled the JJ off the market temporarily. But I will say, Mama Ruth, I strongly encourage everybody to get the vaccine if possible.
Yes.
And encourage your loved ones, because I do believe the science on the RNA vaccine, which is the Moderna and the J&J, just to keep people informed, it is different than the Johnson & Johnson one, is a very sound technology and very, very safe. And I hope you choose that option. And I understand if you don't.
Yeah, I'm all there. Like I said, and I repeat myself and I repeat everyone. I encourage everyone to go out there. I encourage, because I went through the COVID. My family went through it. My mother almost died of COVID. So I definitely do encourage everyone to get it. This is my personal opinion for my own personality. I have to deal with my own issues, internal, my fears, everything personally. But that doesn't mean that I'm against anything. I am happy that people are saving their lives by getting this vaccine.
A real
So
quick question: do you have a personal pharmacist that you go to for your family?
Yeah,
You may go to your pharmacist and discuss this because
I
they have
have.
a
I've
great.
talked about both.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
I believe me, I've been doing my research because I personally
Okay.
want to get it. One half side of me wants it, the other half, and I don't know if y'all understand me, but the other half says, no, wait.
Sure.
So it's like I'm in that
Get
debate
it.
myself.
Get it.
You know what I'm saying? My personal, that's me. I'm not saying do not get it. I want people to go and get it because you know, we need to prevent ourselves. So yeah, that will be going on tomorrow. So please, there's still time. If you need to register, go on. It's free. Register for tomorrow, and that's what I'll be doing.
Excellent. Well, listen, I want to thank everyone for joining us on today's Coffee and Ponduce. We'll be dropping the show in about an hour if you want to watch it again and again and again on YouTube or on Facebook as well. This is our 132nd show. I want to thank everyone who has been helping us do this every week, 132 times. So I just want to remind the producers of Pat McCory's show. He's going to be leaving his show in 2 months to run for Senate. If you want to fill the void, Jenny, Mama Ruth, we can wake up early, not too early, but you know, we can not the WBTB Good Morning 4:30 in the morning time. That's that's way too early. We normally end the show on music, so stay on this
Before
call.
you end up, I just got another text.
Sure.
This one, it's another vaccine available now, and this is for my East Charlotte families. This is on Family First Medical Center on 4913 Albemarle Road. They'll be providing vaccines this week, Wednesday through Saturday from 8 to 8. They also have drive-through or in-clinic. You can make an appointment and just go ahead and get it done. I'll be sharing this flyer also for the people that live on that side of town.
Thank you, Mama Ruth. Thank you very much, because I do know that our Black and brown communities have been trailing the white communities in getting the vaccines. I got our vaccine and it was white, black, white. And I was like, where's all the people of color? And so they're working. So that's kind of what I was told. So stay on the call. So when we end the show, we can do our promo, but we're going to end this show, not on music, but we're going to end it on another video only because it's funny. So here is, here we go. All right, so that was Coffee and Ponduce, and they're taking our jobs. It's just funny for some reason. We'll see you next week. Bye, y'all. Oh, sorry. Bye. We'll see you next week. Stay on, y'all.